The house carried the sharp scent of citron polish, everything in perfect order. It was a Tuesday afternoon in early spring, and I perched on the edge of the bay window in the front room, watching sunlight stream through glass so clear it seemed invisible. Outside, birds sang as if it were just another flawless Virginia day, but inside, a heavy silence pressed against my ribs. There's something unsettling about being a woman of 35, a master sergeant in the United States Army, yet feeling small crossing the threshold of your childhood home. My name is Amélie Dubois. I work in logistics for the Army. Just back from a year at Ramstein Air Base in Germany, I've coordinated more aircraft loads than I can track, planned evacuation routes under fire, and managed supplies during incoming attacks. But none of that braced me for the weight of returning here. Not this house. My mother's house is a picture of perfection. White columns, red brick, a lawn trimmed to precision. Locals call it the Dubois estate, as if it's woven into the town's legacy. My mother, Colonel Margot Dubois, earned her medals with grit and sacrifice. My father, Julian, orchestrates lavish galas for politicians who nod at his literary references and praise the floral displays. In public, they're a striking duo. Patriotism and elegance intertwined. Then there's my brother, Etienne, the golden child, tall and commanding, running a startup that crafts veteran-themed whiskey. Last year, he landed on a Forbes list for patriotic entrepreneurs under 40. My parents display that article in the hallway, framed beside his Eagle Scout badge and West Point portrait. My name, it's nowhere in those frames, just a small photo of me in uniform near the kitchen pantry, tucked in a dim corner. I've always been the other Dubois, the one who enlisted not to uphold the family legacy, but to flee it. They called me restless. Amélie can't stay still, my father would chuckle, smoothing my hair before guests arrived. Always climbing, always scrapping. What they meant was, I didn't smile through pain. I asked too many questions. I saw too much. When I told them I'd joined the Army, my mother paused for 3 long seconds before saying, "Well, that's one way to find purpose. I thought distance would fix it. I signed up for every deployment, Iraq, Germany, Kuwait. Time zones made dodging calls simpler, but holidays always brought the summons. You'll be here for Etienne's event, won't you? The family's gathering. He's being honored. He was always being honored." So when the text came from my father, Etienne's birthday is next weekend, everyone important will be there. Your presence would mean so much. I felt that familiar tightness in my chest. I told him I'd consider it. I already knew I'd go. You don't just turn away from the people who shaped you, even when their blueprint left you bruised. That's the thing about the Dubois house. It looks indestructible, 3 stories, a flagpole out front. But some houses don't fall in a crash. They erode silently from within until one wrong move exposes the decay. And sometimes that move is literal. The body holds memories tightly. Sometimes it's the absence of a warm blanket you were never offered. Other times it's the bite of concrete on bare knees when you stumble, and no one believes you didn't mean to fall. That night, after my father's text, sleep wouldn't come. I stared at the ceiling fan in the guest room I was borrowing. Temporary space, temporary peace, and memories crept in uninvited. I was 7, maybe, during the first frost of winter, the sky heavy and gray. Etienne, 10 and always in charge, dared me to crawl under the back deck, claiming there were secret mission files hidden there, like a real operation. I was freezing, scared, but determined to match him. The crawl space was damp, thick with cobwebs and rotting leaves. When I tried to climb out, he'd latched the screen door and walked off. I was stuck for over an hour until our neighbor, Madame Lisette, found me. She bundled me in her coat, brought me inside, and handed me hot cocoa. She didn't ask if it was a game or what I'd done wrong. She just said, no child should be left in the cold. It was one of the few times I felt safe as a kid. Another memory, my 9th birthday. Etienne shoved me down the back staircase because I took the red frosting slice of cake he'd claimed. I hit the wooden landing hard, spraining my ankle. When I limped to my mother, tears streaming, she sighed and said, "Amélie, don't make a fuss. If you weren't racing around, you wouldn't have fallen. In our house, pain was your fault, tears were manipulation, and if Etienne caused it, it was either deserved or imagined." The silence after those moments stung sharper than the injuries. the look of exasperation on their faces, the way love felt like a prize for staying quiet. It's no surprise I chose the Army. At least there, pain was real, acknowledged. Survival didn't mean pretending you weren't hurting. I didn't realize how loud silence could be until I stepped off the plane at Andrews, greeted by nothing but the hum of DC on a Sunday morning and the sharp tap of my boots on the tarmac. 72 hours of leave, 3 days to breathe before the cycle of reassignments and briefings resumed. For me, those days meant one thing: navigating home like a minefield. 12 months in Germany hadn't changed much. Ramstein was cold, precise, orderly, everything my childhood wasn't. I returned with a new ribbon on my uniform and a citation for crisis logistics under pressure. We'd executed an evacuation in record time during a blackout. Someone decided I deserved recognition. I didn't tell my family. It's hard to share honors with people who never saw the scars. The morning after I landed, my father's text arrived. Etienne's birthday is Saturday. He's invited the governor this year. Your presence would mean so much. You're the soldier of the family. Remember our pride. It was guilt wrapped in patriotism, perfectly crafted. I stared at the message for a full minute before replying, "I'll be there." I told myself I'd go as a guest, nothing more. I'd show up, shake hands, force a smile through the polished introductions. Maybe someone would ask about my service, not Etienne's whiskey empire or his camera-ready charisma. Later that day, I met Luke at Walter Reed. He'd lost his left arm in Mosul, but never his clarity. He took one look at me and said, "You're going back there, aren't you?" I nodded. He adjusted his prosthetic. "Don't go alone." "I'll be fine." "No," he said, steady and certain. "You'll survive." That's not the same. He offered to come with me. I refused, not because I didn't want him there, but because I couldn't let anyone see what that house still did to me. I packed my uniform, my medals, and a simple navy dress, just enough to fit in to avoid ripples. Deep down, some part of me still hoped they'd see me. They say the hardest part of coming back from deployment isn't what you left, it's what you return to. The Dubois estate hadn't changed. Pristine hedges, red, white, and blue bunting draped elegantly along the porch, a valet at the gate who called me "Madam" without glancing at my army plates. I pulled up to the sound of clinking glasses and bright laughter. Beyond the flawless lawn and artfully arranged hors d'oeuvres, my brother Etienne was already the center of attention. The backyard was a scene from a high society fundraiser. White tents, fairy lights, a jazz quartet playing smooth standards. The new pool deck shone under the afternoon sun, freshly oiled, carrying the faint scent of cedar and wealth. I smoothed my uniform jacket and wove through the crowd. My father Julian saw me first. He leaned in, air kissing both cheeks like I was a guest, not his daughter. "Amélie, chérie, you look so disciplined. Senator Beaumont is here. He'll speak soon." Etienne's introducing him. I nodded, lips tight, not yet having touched a drink. Then came the introductions. "This is our daughter, Amélie," father said, his smile polished for the well-dressed guests. "She's just back from, what was it, dear? That supply base in Germany?" I could have corrected him, Ramstein Air Base, or mentioned the logistics crisis we averted in February, but I just smiled. I'd learned long ago that seeking acknowledgement here only made you seem desperate. Etienne appeared moments later, looking like a campaign ad in his tailored blazer, whiskey glass in hand. "Well, look who's back," he grinned. "The hero." "Run out of paperwork overseas?" The crowd chuckled. I swallowed the familiar pang in my chest, standing straighter, enduring as I'd been trained. Later, he led a drinking game, joking that the military was a fallback for those without better plans. His friends laughed, glasses raised. Father joined in. Even Senator Beaumont gave a polite chuckle. I stood near the pool's edge, my reflection sharp in its glassy surface. I looked like a soldier. I didn't feel like one. I felt like a decoration, unsure how much longer I could hold the pose. I don't recall the exact moment I fell, only the silence that followed. One moment, I was crossing the glossy deck, aiming for a quiet exit. The next, my feet slipped, the ground betraying me. I was airborne for a heartbeat, weightless, then crashed onto the pool's concrete edge. A sharp crack shot through my spine. Pain blazed up my back, then vanished. I stared at the sky, blue, clear, uncaring. Laughter broke out. "Nice tumble, Amelie," someone called, always so dramatic. I tried to move. My arms twitched faintly. My legs didn't respond. My voice cracked, thin. "I can't feel—" Etienne's face loomed above, squinting against the sun, smirking. "You're joking, right?" My breath came quick and shallow. I tried to sit up. Pain roared through my skull, nothing below my waist. "Please," I gasped, "could call someone." "Something's wrong," Mother's voice cut through the party's hum. "Amelie, get up." She stood by the grill, arms crossed, tone sharp. "You're a soldier, for heaven's sake." "Shake it off." "I can't," I cried. "I can't feel my legs." Murmurs rippled. Some guests backed away, others stood frozen, clutching drinks. Father knelt beside me, his smile tight. "Darling, this isn't the moment." "People are watching." "I need help," I said, voice fading, fear stealing my breath. "Something's wrong." He hesitated, brushing my hair back like I was a child acting out. "You always did crave attention." Then a steady voice broke through. "Move aside." "I'm a nurse." It was Lisette, older now, but her eyes just as calm. She knelt beside me, checked my pulse, touched my arm. "I've got you," she said softly. "No need to pretend anymore." For the first time in years, I believed someone. The sky burned blue as Lisette pressed her fingers along my spine. "Don't move her," she barked at someone behind her, her tone leaving no room for debate. "Her thoracic response is compromised. Possible spinal injury." Someone muttered about overreacting. Another said, "She just needs a minute." Lisette ignored them. "Can you feel this?" she asked, touching my hip. I shook my head, tears welling. "No," I whispered, "nothing below my ribs." She nodded, calm but firm. "You'll be okay, but we need an ambulance." "Stay still," Mother stepped forward, too loud, too sure. "That's unnecessary." "She's tough, just winded." Lisette turned, her gaze like iron. "Colonel Dubois, if you touch her, I'll report you for obstructing medical care. You may command respect, but not this moment." Mother froze. Etienne's voice wavered behind us. "It was just a prank." I didn't think she'd fall. Just some pool gel, like old times, old times. I closed my eyes. The pain wasn't just in my back. It was every ignored bruise, every tear-labeled drama. One slid down my cheek now, not from pain, but from being seen. "I believe you," Lisette said quietly, like she understood. "I always did." She stepped away, phone in hand, mouthing words: spinal trauma, suspected assault, female veteran. Then a name: Claude Martin, Lisette's old friend, a police officer who'd once spoken at my school about honor and truth. She was calling him now, and with that call, the story I'd buried for years began to shift, slowly from silence to record. For the first time, someone else was proving I mattered. The steady beeping of the hospital monitors was strangely calming, a rhythm I could count on, unlike anything else. They rushed me from the Dubois estate to the trauma unit at Fairfax Medical. The MRI confirmed Lisette's suspicions: a fracture in my lower thoracic spine with cord compression. The phrase possible permanent paralysis lingered like an uninvited guest. I signed the surgical consent forms with a hand that felt foreign. Nurses moved around me with quiet efficiency, kind but detached. I wasn't their first spinal case that day, but likely the only one who'd fallen at a gala surrounded by generals, governors, and empty champagne glasses. The news broke the next morning. Decorated military family faces scrutiny after veteran daughter's injury at private event. Dubois matriarch accused of obstructing medical aid. Senator's ally under fire for ties to assault case. They called me a decorated logistician, wounded on American soil. They didn't say by her brother, but the truth simmered between the lines. Etienne was arrested that evening. Lisette's detailed report, backed by witnesses who noticed the cameras, sealed it. My mother's name was listed in the obstruction inquiry. My father released a vague statement about a misunderstanding. They never visited the hospital, but Luke did. He entered my room in full Class A uniform, his left sleeve neatly pinned where his arm once was. In his hand, a small velvet box. They plan to give this to you next month, he said, setting it on the tray. But you've earned it now. Inside was a silver star, my name engraved for Ramstein, for what I did when no one looked. Tears pricked my eyes, but I held them back. You're not going back there, are you? He asked softly. No, I said, voice firm. I'm suing them. All of them. Civil suit, damages, defamation, attempted cover-up. His eyes softened, no smile, just understanding. About time. Yeah, I whispered. This time I'm not crawling. For once, I didn't need my legs to feel tall. 2 years later, I still don't feel the ground beneath me, but standing isn't about sensation. It's about will. I move with forearm crutches now. Some days it's a slow shuffle. Others, I cross the park without pausing. Every step is intentional, hard-won, felt through determination, not nerves. I work with the Department of Veterans Affairs, guiding younger service members with wounds, physical, emotional, unseen. I help them navigate benefits, recoveries, silences. Sometimes we discuss logistics, sometimes we just sit, breathing in the same space. Etienne is serving 5 years for aggravated assault. My civil case settled last fall. My parents didn't appear in court. They slipped away to Canada, claiming a need for privacy word. Is there at garden parties in Montreal, posing as distant relatives of their former selves. I haven't spoken to them since the deposition, but I've found other voices. Lisette visits every Thursday, bringing crossword puzzles and sharp-witted commentary. Each time she steps into the rehab center, she says, "How's my girl?" and means it. She testified that I'd been let down long before the fall. The judge called her a beacon of civic duty. I call her family. Luke stops by most weekends, never pushing, never fixing. He brings stories, quiet gestures. Once he brought a tiny cactus and said, "It thrives through anything. Like you?" I smiled, reaching for his hand without overthinking it. We're taking it slow. What we have isn't about rescue, it's about respect, resilience. Last month my book came out. Legs Don't Make You Stand, A Soldier's Silent Battle. In it, I wrote, "Paralysis didn't break me. Trusting the wrong people did. Recovery isn't about walking, it's about refusing to crawl for love you already deserve." I didn't dedicate it to my family. I dedicated it to everyone told to stay silent who chose to rise instead.